All right, Martin, let's check out your video. Okay, so it's pretty good. You had a little bit of a different stage plan than most people. The plan itself, I think, cost you a little bit of time, but the shooting was pretty good. So let's see if we can break some stuff down here. I know here you didn't move on the draw, but your draw time was really good. 1-6 to first shot hit is pretty good. A lot of people here, and even I did it, were moving here before they shot the first shot, which is good, but they weren't getting their first shot off until about 260. So, you're getting that shot off much faster than that. You have to make up a little bit of time and movement here. So after that shot, I probably would want to see a little bit of aggressive movement. Now you're shooting these targets actually from a little bit further away than most people. Most people were shooting them from their feet were about here. So now you're shooting them from a little bit further away, and your movement's a little bit slower. The other thing we can probably try to work on in the future is try to keep your knees a little bit more bent. You can see here while you're moving, it's kind of very stiff, and you're standing up very tall. And here's where I think your stage plan issue kind of comes in. So at this point, you've shot 8 shots. You had 1 makeup on the paper, and you shot the steel on the first shot. So you do have enough to engage this target if you want to. But you do a reload here. You shoot this array of 3. Nothing wrong with this, but then you have to reload again. So, you're reloading on the move, so it's not terrible, but the reload is going to cost you time compared to people who aren't doing the reload. But then the rest of the stage turned out really good. So you only had to shoot these 3 targets from the final left side. What most people were doing were shooting the stuff here, and this target on the left on the first mag, reloading, and then you could go all the way to the end, and you could shoot these targets, the headshot, and the target to the right of the barrel on the last mag. So that would make 9. So it was an 18-round stage, and you could do 9, reload 9. That seemed to make the most sense to me. The other benefit of doing it that way is you're eliminating positions. So for you, you have sort of this first array, if you want to call the steel and these 3 targets one array. Everybody pretty much has to do the same thing there. And then you go to this position, and you kind of make it, this is another position everyone pretty much has to go to, because you have to see this target. That's one position, and then another position here. So you make this into sort of 2 positions, and then you have to stop here again and finish. So ideally, you could shoot these targets on the right, and then from here shoot this target, and then leave this target and the headshot target for the end, and get them from over here. So that's really just a stage planning thing that you could work on, and it would cut out that 1 reload, and it's also, even without the reload, it's just going to be faster because you're cutting out a position. The other thing technique-wise is your loads are sort of low here. You are looking into the mag well, which is good. But I'd like to see the gun a little bit more up in front of you so you can see where you're going. Because it helps you move more aggressively when the gun's a little bit higher. Because right now you're looking down at the gun and you're looking down at the ground. So if you had the gun a little bit further ahead and you could see more forward, it would help you run faster. Because right now you can't really aggressively move because you can't see where you're going. So the same thing happens here. Kind of looking where you're going. This one, you do look into the mag well, so that's good. Then we go on to finish the stage. So overall, time is good. 1875 is pretty good. With 1 less reload, you'd probably be in the 17s or even the 16s, which is pretty good. Considering I don't think you were really moving too terribly aggressively. Um, I know you said you're relatively new. I mean, it looks great. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't look like you're out there really sprinting and going full speed. So that's something you can kind of ramp up onto and get to as you kind of get more into it. And I think you'd recognize that yourself that you're not going 100% um, every moment of the stage, which is fine, but it's just something to keep an eye out for. So the next stage or the next run. So this one didn't go quite as good, unfortunately. Um, I like the start. Your draw again was good. The same, actually, almost exactly the same speed draw, 165 compared to I think 163, but didn't get the hit right away. So a couple of makeup shots here, um, and then you had some makeups on the paper after. So it's one of those things where, as a production shooter, you're definitely not gonna be able to really get great times if you're shooting a bunch of makeup shots, especially in this situation where, if you're planning on your initial plan being 8 or 9 shots or 10 shots or whatever it is, if you have 3 makeup shots or 3 shots to hit the first steal, you kind of have to recognize you need to do a reload right away to get yourself back on the plan, or you're going to go empty in the middle. So you do that here. So you reload here, but then you follow up with makeup shots, and then this is good. Shoot this last target, and again reload to get back on your initial plan. Um, and then what I think most people did was either they came to where this rock is with their right foot, or they put their left foot near this stick, and that let them see every target a lot easier. I think from here, I think your view on this target is probably really tight behind this no shoot. I'm not 100% sure what your scores were on this run, but I think you're probably making this a lot harder on yourself to shoot past this angled no shoot we put on. If you came over more to the end here, you get a much clearer view of this one. And then I don't know if this was sort of stage planning thing. You got a little bit lost because you shot the head and then you sort of brought the gun in here, and you kind of right here. You kind of bring the gun in and then come back over. Ideally, we'd want to go right from the head immediately over to this open target. You'd have like a something like under a 70 split, or I'm sorry, under a 70 transition to get to this last target. And for you, it was quite a bit longer than that. I think because you kind of got mixed up in your order here, because your plan was different from the first one. The other thing is, again, another stage planning thing. It seems like you're sort of shooting and then dropping the gun and then bringing the gun back up to engage these targets. So that's part of it is that it's recoil control, but the other part of it is like you shot this one and you bring the gun down and you kind of dart it back up to the one on the left again, and then you bring it down again to come to this one. So see, it's a little bit tough to see. I'll go slow-mo again. But after the last shot on the tuxedo, you break your elbows in to get to the headshot. See there? And that's just going to eat up a little bit of time as you bend your elbows and then present the gun back out again. That's just going to eat up a little bit of time. So as much as you can, you want to keep the gun presented, keep it in your eye line, and just keep it directly between each target as much as you can. Every time you compress your arms and push the gun back out, you're just eating up a little bit more time. So that's one of the things I think in your first run, if you were a little bit more deliberate, a little bit more aggressive with your movements and cut out one of those reloads, you would have had a really, really smoking time on that one. This run, let's just chalk it up to it was the end of the day. It was a long day, and we probably tricked you into changing your plan a little bit, and you didn't really have your plan 100% in your mind when you executed it, and that's why there's a little bit of that sort of hunting around for targets and kind of getting situated with yourself. So that's one of those things that you really need to take care of in the walkthrough. You need to walk the stage as many times as you can to get that stage plan 100% memorized. And honestly, that's something I had an issue with too. For my run, I didn't really walk it too much because I built the stage, and then I was kind of watching you guys walk it through, and I RO'd everybody, and then or I videoed everybody. And then when it was my turn to go, I didn't really have my plan 100% in place there, and I did a little bit of this. I kind of felt like I was scrambling out there too. So it can happen to everybody, but other than that, pretty good. Keep it up. Thanks for coming.